You don't say 2 or 1. Wait, what? We're off to a great start. I already can't talk. This episode is just going to be 45 minutes of me. I hope somebody's watching the video right now. And if you get the reference, be sure to tell us about it. And if you don't get the reference, fuck you.
That's right.
Well, now that we've confused and offended pretty much everybody tuning in, welcome back to the Any Given Day podcast. I'm here with an amazingly close friend of mine, Hunter Schurrer. I love that I didn't even try to compete on the hair front today. I was smart about it. I was like, this man has a great mane. I'm going to go straight hat and see where this lands.
Shame. It's a shame. You've cut it. You've cleaned it up. You are now.
I have.
Yeah.
And no regrets, man. I'll be honest. I'm preferring the
I get it.
the look, the feel, but I also don't have the glorious lettuce
Yeah.
that you've got flowing over there.
Yeah, we've slowly been trimming it back. We had some longer stuff this past year, and we're inching it back. So if I ever want to go one way or the other, opposed to making some drastic changes. But it's good to see you. It's good to see you. I feel like, it's a Friday. I know you got a brew over there, even if it's of the Na variety, but you also have a lot of buttons buttoned up on that polo. We're still trying to keep things somewhat professional.
Oh,
After
okay.
2 more non-alcoholic beers, we might see a button come undone.
This is going to become a rager.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, we have the happy accident of, speaking of ragers, of me wearing the hat from us throwing down on the Florida beaches long ago.
What year was that? So we went down to annual conference for tactical NSCA. We went to Cocoa Beach with the rest of the first group human performance team, which was it was the best move.
Yeah.
That was such a good move.
Yeah, we had like an extra night, and we said, let's get out of here. Let's go to the beach, take the whole crew, and sling some drinks and see what happens.
Yeah, it was good. We don't need to get into the details of that trip, but
we definitely do not. There's a song by REM called "Night Swimming," and I was
not involved in that. I went to bed early because I was going to Harry Potter World the following day. Well, you guys were out doing. I was a good boy. I went to bed. You guys, God knows what happened out in the ocean.
I don't know. I still have all my bits. The sharks didn't get me, so that's the good news.
Yeah. Okay, what are we doing here? What kind of operation are we running?
So this is a podcast, and it's unapologetic stories for and from veterans that are looking basically to continue to touch the flame in life after service. And so I thought you might have some stories to tell, so I figured, why not invite you on? And
because of my years of service.
Yes, that's why it's from or for.
Yes.
Or. So you're the for. You're for. I hope you're for veteran. Are you pro or anti-veteran?
Man, that'd make things super awkward right now based off what I have dedicated my life and my love and my career to the last 15 years. No, okay. I mean, come on, man. Like, I unapologetically, to use your word from early, like, love this community. Like, I think I got told, and it's still one of like my favorite stories. When I first got to first group, I think I got told to go F myself within the first week, but then it turned into like constructive conversation on why we were doing what we're doing in training and all of that. I'm like, these are my people. The fact that we're going to be blunt, that we're going to go right at, we're going to have our fun. Like the cliche of, we take our work seriously, but not ourselves.
Yes.
And I'm like, dude, I can get down with this. And I never look back. And, it led to obviously over 10 years up at group, and then, almost 5 years here in a couple of weeks to being here at UHP. And yeah, it's although I've never served, absolutely love the veteran community, everything it is, the people, and what it means to serve the country and this nation, and to raise your right hand when 99.9% of the rest of the population doesn't.
Dude, I love 2 things. One, that we're 4 minutes and 20 seconds in, and you already nailed the title for this podcast, which is phenomenal, because that's always the hardest part for me, is pulling the title. So you already took care of that. So I appreciate you doing my work for me. What else is new? And then even more so, I remember when I was chatting with Matt about you leading that National Guard.
Mhm.
What would you call it? A workout, a workshop?
Yeah, it was an educational weekend for the Arkansas National Guard. It's gonna be 6 years ago, this, like,
Yeah.
September, October.
It was a day of events, to use your words, actually. I don't know if you remember that video, but
Hmm.
it was a day of events. And there was a little bit of pushback initially because you were not a veteran. And I was like, look, I can't think of one person who hasn't served that is as much a part of the military community as Hunter. I think you are as close as you can get to being the thing without having been the thing. And I think part of that is just the time you've spent, but also the way you've spent that time in the community. And I literally said, hey, when Hunter leaves first group, you have to realize that grown Green Berets, grown men will cry. And I have no doubt they did. I have no doubt you did.
Yeah.
And they literally ripped a platform out of the ground, like ripped a Sorinex
Oh, yeah.
wood weightlifting platform out of the ground for you as you're going away.
Yeah, it's to me, I think it might be one of the largest plaques that anybody's ever received when exiting a unit. I think it was like a last minute FU to me from a standpoint as we had my going away party at the Seven Seas Brewery in Tacoma, which is like from where I was living at the time at the Harmon, and it's a stone's throw away from where I lived. If you're familiar with Tacoma in the Northwest, the roads were like this. And basically, so many of the people from the unit showed up, and what that means, and the words that you say, man, like it still feels undeserving, like from the standpoint of I never know what to say to that, but it means it carries so much weight for me. Because I always felt like I got to see behind the curtain without having earned the right to do so. And I operate very much from that chip on my shoulder of like, I need to prove and show my worth because these people, they deserve it 100%, like have earned. I don't like the word deserve. They've earned it.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I think it was like one more like jokes on me because then I got left with this platform after a day of like nothing but being fed IPAs to carry home. And it's several hundred pounds. And I'm just like, "Oh my gosh." And you wanna talk about, like, the most longest awkward walk of shame back to my apartment with this massive platform plaque, but it was one of the most beautiful gifts. It's literally 10 yards in front of me right now, and I get to see it every day, and to me, I'll always be biased. Like, to me, that group, in regards to what first group is, who the people are, the men and women of the unit, the location in the Northwest, to me, it is still like, it is a top job in human
Yeah.
performance and strength and conditioning. I don't care what sector. And I never thought I'd leave, but here I am in Northwest Arkansas. So, man.
So you're in a unique situation where you worked with active duty, professionals at first group, so within the special operations community, and then now you primarily work within the veteran community. So I know in coming into these, I never have really a preconceived idea of where to go because I don't want to be too scripted. I just want this to be a conversation. That said, I think three parts come to mind. Like one is something having to do with your time working with active duty. Two, now having seen kind of the other side of that, fence or the continuation of the life for folks who are in the veteran community. And then three, too, like you're also a, adult father who's balancing busy work lifestyle with staying fit and those type of things. So like I feel like over the course of the whatever, however long this conversation goes in the eyes of the in the ears of the listener too long, but the hope would be, I guess we could tease out some of that. Give a quick hitter just on, we did the first group quickest of hitters. Give the same love, I guess, to your current role.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's, spending the day at work as far as UHP, Unlock Human Potential is the overarching umbrella. It's a transition organization for those in the military. In other words, It initially started within the health and performance world. Specifically, it was going to be how do we help people exit out, step into personal training, strength and conditioning, coaching roles. And what it morphed into and what we saw, well, we know everybody doesn't want to be a personal trainer, strength coach who exits the military first and foremost. And so two, we got into what are our roots? How do we take care of Americans, veterans, which we believe are one of our greatest assets? How do we empower them and set them up for amazing careers with the right tools in ways that they've learned and in ways that they've trained? And so it's a very much an expedited, immersive process. We've got an 800-acre campus here in Northwest Arkansas. And we've got two main schools under UHP. We've got our School of Health and Performance, so personal training, integrative health coaching. So those that are not familiar, focus on behavior change. Um, when you talk about the leadership and the communication skills that comes out of that course, it is phenomenal and cannot recommend enough. We've had more first group guys come through, which is so cool to see. And then our last one is our culinary nutrition course. So think about having the ability to grow, cook, prepare, but understanding the business to make you really a better personal trainer or integrative health coach. And then we've just launched Ignite America, which is a trade school. And so we're rocking into our first electrical cohort. The health and performance schools are 3 weeks long, all immersive, staying on campus is amazing. And then Ignite, the trade school, is our 5 week long courses. And we're starting with electrical and we'll be getting into some welding as well. That'll lead into HVAC, plumbing, learning to work in data centers and all of that. So basically, how do we look at what does America need from
Hmm.
the standpoint of the trades we know are in such desperate need? How do we take people that have that proven background, that know how to get stuff done? And man, let's marry the two. And so that's where it's led. And so for me, like the reason why I came and when I met Matt and through you, like it came down to like three things for me. One, it was like I get to share teaching and coaching. I absolutely love it to like share what you do with others and help them step into becoming, variations of you to some extent to share the coaching piece. I love to death. Human performance, strength, and conditioning has given me so much. It is, to me, one of the coolest fields. 90% of the time we're in your shorts or sweats but you get to like teach people to become, again, better versions of themselves. And then three, the military community. So it was like, so I get to do what I love with the profession that I love for the community that I love. And it was like this job that was just like, man, if you could tailor make something. And watching so many people that I was fortunate enough to work with, high performing individuals step out of the military. And I think struggle might be an overextension of the word with some of the people leaving group, but having more difficulties than they should have based on who they were, step into, because I mean,
Yeah.
I can't speak to it in the same way that you can. But anybody who's gone through any type of transition, any type of identity in which it might even be somebody who was a coach that left the coaching field and is now, lack of a better field, like selling insurance. Not that there's anything wrong with that,
Yeah.
but now that is your identity. One day you're this, one day you're not. And man, does that carry some freaking weight. So all of those things, it has really led me to where I'm at now. And it is hands down, it is special. It is the coolest role, surrounded by an amazing team. And yeah, just nothing else exists, but I'm also biased. So here we are.
I mean, you bring up a great point, which is how much of your identity is tied to both the system you're operating in and the environment you're operating in. And then when you change that environment, you change that system, you create friction. And some of that friction is like the taking off of the old suit and putting on the new one. And I think part of it too is a lot of us put on the new one and we try to identify with the new one, but that's not really the answer either, because you're still not identifying with the actual person that's underneath all of it, which is probably the better starting point. So I think a lot of folks do pour their identity or themselves into a new vocation, and it's never going to fulfill them in the same way, I don't think anyway, as your time in service did. And so I think instead you got to kind of get in touch with yourself.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. It's like I imagine it like this Superman Clark Kent type thing. Like at the end of the day, he's still Superman, but he's masquerading as Clark Kent. He has to then like I'm in the office building with these civilians and I got to act like I'm Clark Kent and I can't like step in and tell this person how I really feel. I'm like, "Oh, I'm weak and I have to do when I really want to like take this person's head and shove it through the wall." And so but like
So
understanding
accurate. Oh, it's so accurate.
but it
Yes.
is. It's
Yes.
because you're still like to some extent, like, from a different planet. Like, it
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
and all those
And a
pieces. So
planet of superheroes.
100%. And now you're surrounded by a bunch of normies who, for it's we could anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, so so even with all the coaching and the skills work that we do, so much of it is rooted in basically it's in purpose. And I know that's a word that can get thrown around a lot, like, oh, what is your purpose and what is your why and all that, but there's so much strength to it. And when we start identifying like what are our values, what are our passions, what are our skills, what are our beliefs, now let's start rooting some of that out because that's who we are. And when we figure those things out, and sometimes we get so caught up in the doings of things and trying to get tasks done compared to actually our ways of being, for lack of a better word. We lose sight of that. We don't spend the time working on ourselves and we just go from one task to the next and we find ourselves doing shit that we don't care about. And so how do we actually root into, and so much of our process is very much self-discovery while we're learning a skill of usually a passion of theirs. So it's, yeah, how do we try to marry the two so they can then step into better versions of if they're going to coach, or at least themselves to understand who they are to be successful outside of service.
Yeah, I feel like you're nailing it with like the observation of tasking as an example. Two reasons I gravitated toward coaching. One, I do think that a lot of coaches also fall within the superhero category. And I think that they're some of the hardest working and the most driven, and they're people who are not comfortable settling with status quo and they want to exceed. And so I do think that surrounding yourself with that community is phenomenal. And then two, the tasking, one great thing about the military is every time you achieve something, there's already something else waiting for you. So you never really make it. It's just like, oh, I finished this, on to the next. I finished this, on to the next. And you get, we even grow this called the Love Me book, right? And so like that thing gets
Hmm.
thicker and thicker and it's all your accolades over time. But you never go back and look at an old one. You just try to collect the next to fill in the next, sheet. And so similar in coaching, it's like, oh, we got to get your CSCS. And then you got to do, USAW and you got to do RKC. And it's like, there's always a badge to kind of go collect to like continue to task. But part of that too, like that continuing to task is you continuing to define yourself by what you do as opposed to like stepping back and to what you spoke of, like values, character and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. It turns into educational porn of all this gathering of information. Like, look at all my certifications, look at my badges. I mean, it's the Boy Scouts basically. And I don't mean that to like the tie in, but it's like, do you see all my badges? Do you see how important I am? Opposed to like, that's cool, man. What happens when you take that like uniform off? Not whether it's military, Boy Scout, like, do you believe, or is that rooted in you, or is it only matter with that uniform on? So how do we get below that surface? Because it's still the same person. And so how do we uncover that? Like, it is so much of like holding up this mirror and being like, you want to shake somebody and be like, dude, this is you. So much of what we're doing is how can we guide you and help you understand what you have and what you have to offer and the skills and the passions and all of that, opposed to putting so much weight. Not that it doesn't matter, not that those skills and all the other pieces don't, but man, how do you understand that you are more than that? Not in a bad way, because you don't want to diminish that service by any stretch of the imagination. But how do we make sure that they understand that that doesn't define who they are as a person?
So I feel like you knew the question I was asked before, or going to ask before I asked it, and you've already answered it extensively. But I'm still going to ask it, I guess, just to give,
Hmm.
in case there's another layer to it that we miss, which was I was going to ask because I'm new to the Ignite America concept. I absolutely love that. Immediately, what comes to mind with both of those different schools that you guys have going on is shit AI can't do. Right,
One,
like AI can inform those people, no doubt, and offload pieces of what they do. But at the end of the day, like the human element is impossible to take out of those tasks, at least to date and for the foreseeable future.
yeah, spot on. I mean, so much of what we want to do as an organization, hands down, it is veteran based to start. From there, it is human first. How do we establish human first work that is human centered so people can live meaningful lives? When we look at like if you were our overarching mission vision for what UHP is that is spot on what it is. How do we make sure not AI proof, we know we're going to work in conjunction with, so how do we establish meaningful careers with amazing people that have tested through it, to set people up for success? Yeah, spot on, man.
So what are the commonalities? And this is the question that you've probably already answered, but in case there's more meat on the bone, what are the commonalities between the schools in terms of the process when you're educating the folks in those two pipelines? Might be the wrong word, but in those two pipelines.
No, it's yeah, it's not the wrong word. It's I mean, you've got what we kind of reference as our blueprint or a UHP process, in which it doesn't matter if you're going to be a personal trainer or you're going to be an electrical technician. You're going to learn the skills. It is hands-on, it is practical, it is rinse, reps, all the application of it. It is not just what do you know. And it's not that it isn't. You're still going to have to display the knowledge and all that it is, but it's going to be, we know that, excuse me, isn't what makes a great coach. We know that just the book knowledge isn't what makes a great electrician. So how do we make sure that we're getting those consistent reps? Um, but when you look at the skill sets that come with them, it is people that are ready to work, that are hungry to do it, that are self-sufficient, that are people that can very much figure things out. They solve problems, they fix things, so to speak. And not
Yeah.
that humans need fixing from the coaching side, but you go to the underlying factor of usually those that served have some sort of servant leader mentality.
Yep.
Whatever has happened in their lives as far as why they decided to go in, to enlist, whatever it may be, there was usually something or some things in which I want to help and serve other people, whether it was an event, whether it was something personal, whatever it may be. And so these fields, these trades are still very much a servant leader foundation. In other words, I am going to help people and make their lives better by doing very purposeful work.
So, having spent 10 years in the soft community, focusing really more on active duty personnel and performance, right? Or underlying performance characteristics that are hopefully going to make them better operators. And now having shifted and spent a significant amount of time, even if less, with the veteran community, if you were to go back to, floor coach Hunter days, what would you do differently, kind of knowing the path that those folks were on?
Yeah, and I think it's one of the things that we did well when we were up at group was get to know them as individuals, make sure that understanding that they're the subject matter experts. And I will just floor stomp that, every day, all day. And even if we did, I think at the time, potentially a better job than maybe others have, and that's not knocking anybody else that we weren't at those units. I just know we had success. But man, if I would not even let somebody coach in the afternoon until they were like in every team room, understanding every little bit, until they knew everybody's name. They knew they needed to know every MOS inside and out. They needed to understand op tempos and schedules and lives in all of those pieces. And then let's plug back in.
Yeah.
And so it's, yeah, to me, I think, and maybe I'm wrong, and I really hope that the profession has progressed over the last 5 years. And I've had some amazing conversations, talk with people, but anybody still going in, I'm like, you need to shut up and get out of the way because you are not the one going downrange. And you need to know where you fit in your role. And one of the things that I've heard you talk about that I love so much is the lethality of it. You still have to understand what the job is and what winning is, so to speak. But you also need to understand all the other factors that these humans have, but they still need to be able to do the thing while operate at home. I mean, there's just so many layers to it, but it starts with getting to know the individual and making sure that their why, in a little cheesy phrase that literally I was teaching a communication course to our CPT students this morning, is without the why, they won't try. And if you do not understand the why of that soldier, of that airman, whoever you are working with, and if you don't understand the why that you're doing what you're doing and the why that they're doing what they're doing, and those two don't intersect, you're going to miss the mark, no matter how good of a program or training, exercise, whatever the hell you're doing with them.
Yeah. Admittedly, so, I'm back in the coaching world and I do a lot of one-on-one consults now. And
Mm-hmm.
so you certainly get an opportunity to dive pretty deep into people's lives. And I'm looking a lot more beyond training X's and O's and looking at things that I think are inherently more personal, like sleep, nutrition, stress management, stuff like that. But it makes me realize how detached we were from most of that then. Sure, we were friendly and we showed an interest and we'd have conversations with people, but we didn't necessarily go out of our way to better understand the lives of the operators that we were working with, both professionally and personally. And so that's even for me, like, I think I was like, oh, having come from the Ranger community, I understand to a point what they do. I didn't pretend, I don't think anyway, to understand more than that. And so, but even then, my, anything I had a question about was more operational in nature, as opposed to, I guess holistic, to overuse the overused word. But
Yeah.
whereas I think that there was a lot of stones left unturned because of that, and things that we were positioned to address, we were positioned to help with. Um, I think sometimes our focus might have been a little narrow.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think, and we saw that not time and again, but we did. We saw that in regards to whether it was training programs that we were putting out or things that we were doing, as good as they might have been, they were still short-sighted. But like, we need to call a spade, and I don't think we empowered them enough to be the subject matter experts. I think we created our own narratives, and not that we thought we were hot shit or anything else, but it was just that, like, we know what we're doing. We've had the conversations. We understand. We're pretty ingrained. Like, we know what this is going to work. And you know what? It probably did to like 80% or 90%, whatever it may be.
Yeah,
But to me, that extra degree, 10 degrees or what percentage, excuse me, is that's going to be the difference maker. That's them being more consistent. That is them being more effective. That's them getting more effort. That's them having just a better, like a better life, to the point that you're talking about. That extra stuff is going to make a huge difference. And so, yeah, I mean, it doesn't keep me up at night, so to speak, but looking back, man, like it's like, man, we did a great job, but not to the point where, I mean, in hindsight's 2020,
of
going
course,
back
of
into the
course.
athletic world as well. There's so many things I would have done different,
Yeah,
but man, with that community, dude, like, yeah, it's even before I left, we were doing some cool stuff. Matt Hockey was our data scientist.
yeah,
And we were, looking at measuring everything with basically the discussion of what does war look like? In other words, you'd have some, mission or whatever guys would come back and they'd talk about, and you'd get basically 12 different stories, 12 different viewpoints from an ODA. And you would be like, well, this is super easy. This guy's like, this is super hard. This is what we did. It wasn't actually that far. It was further than, like, it's like,
yeah.
holy shit. Like, yes, there's, it was, within reason of what they're sharing with each other. But for us, like, we wanted to measure everything. And like, what can we do that? Okay, so, we didn't have wearables. We had catapult that we were putting on people. We're measuring everything out at stress shoots and in the gym and anything they were doing, like, on post. But man, I think there's just still so much learning to do, and how do we empower the people to learn from them?
Dude, so speaking of learning to do, you're definitely somebody who's a lifelong learner, and as somebody who strives to be as well, I definitely admire that about you. Beyond the learning, you're also somebody who has continued to evolve just as a human. So I guess to kind of, shift away from the operator and the veteran for a moment and shift over to you, because I think there's, evidence within your life that leaves some clues for success for the veteran community. One thing that I noticed that, happened in your transition from the Pacific Northwest down to Northwest Arkansas was kind of the inclusion of some more pastimes, right? So like started mountain biking a little bit. You started hitting the mountain, on the snowboard. Talk a little bit about, like, I guess what sparked that change. I don't, with the move or whatever it was.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know if it was related to the move. I know, like, going through, different transition of going through, a divorce when, back in Washington or whatever it was, but it's so much of my life was revolved around the gym. And I think, we've got a coach on our staff who has literally like a background in like acrobatics and circus performing. And she talks about, her transition when she got hurt. She had dedicated her life to that. And then she had to transition out, and that was a whole identity thing. And like, I bring that up from the standpoint of, like, everything I did was around a coach. Like, what did I do for fun? I was in the gym. What did I do for work? I was in the gym. And to a point, and the reason why I kind of bring up the divorce stuff, like, and it wasn't fair because, I was competing in weightlifting at the time. So even my hobby, my sport was still in the gym.
Mhm. And your side hustle.
Yeah, everything. Like, there was nothing which, from a benefit side, and like, I will own being a workaholic. It is something that I love. Like I'm working 7 days a week and it is by choice. And I feel sorry for Tia, but like but I love it. I
Yeah.
really do. But everything that I was doing around it, and I think there was huge benefit to it because I got pretty good at whether it was programming, understanding, doing the things because I didn't put it down. Now I wouldn't recommend it because then what I was doing was sacrificing everything else in my life to the point like living in the Northwest. I'm like, hey, let's go for a hike. Like, I'm not going for a hike. I don't have time because I have to squat tomorrow and I have to snatch tomorrow. And I'm not wearing my legs out to go on some hike. So instead, let's dominate this couch. And like, what are we doing? At this point, I'm like 35 or 36. This is almost, whatever, 8, 9, almost 10 years ago. And it's like, I'm not training for the Olympics. I'm not trying to make a team. I'm like, okay, so I'll do great at the local meet and qualify for nationals and be the old guy kicking in. Like, there's a lot of pride in that. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
However, like the amount of things that I potentially gave up, and we know that everything's got a cost or an investment, however we want to look at that. And what I looked at was like, I am missing so many different things. And I'm like, I need to start broadening my spectrum of things I wanted to do. And so for me, like my brain was constantly going with work stuff. And that's where, going to, hitting the mountain when it came to snowboarding, I'm like, it shut everything off. Everything just went quiet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there is something here. And it gave me that rush, that dopamine hit, that adrenaline, like whatever we want to talk, catecholamines. And it just, I'm like, oh my God. Like, and I would come off the hill, maybe physically tired, but mentally refreshed. And I'm like, okay, now we got something. And a little bit of the same stuff with the mountain bike. I don't love it. I
Yeah.
mean, dude, you've been in the saddle, as they say,
I,
like crazy.
yeah. The last month has been a little down just because I went on vacation and some other stuff, but we're picking it back up. I got back on it last weekend. I'm gonna get a couple rides in this weekend.
But dude, yeah, it gave me my thing. I'm like, this is a place in which I can quiet the noise. And that then allowed me to come back. And so it reset me mentally. Physically, it allowed me to do, you know, touch the flame from doing dumb, stupid stuff of like, I get to go fast and do the things and I'm going to try to do this, but it made me feel that much more alive.
Hmm.
And yeah, so it is such a good thing, and it's a non-negotiable for me now. And it was even a conversation I had, with Matt. I'm like, look, when the winter comes, man, I need to get to the mountains, and so I take a couple trips a year to make sure that I can get up and I can ride, because to me it is that special, it is that sacred. We've been fortunate to ski and snowboard together. It's just yeah, man, it's the best.
There's something to be said for that ironic piece within the fear and the speed and the violence and and I think that's partially why I gravitate toward it. I think, like you said, there's this irony of destroying the body maybe on the mountain, but at the same time totally invigorating the mind. And I don't know how you recreate that in any other way except to put yourself through something that's, either a little bit arduous, a little bit scary, a little bit of both.
Yeah, and it is. It's and again, I've never been deployed. I haven't been downrange, but there's still chasing a little bit of the chaos. It's from a young age. My dad would always joke. He's like, "You're not happy unless you're going 90 miles an hour with your hair on fire," because it gives you that focus.
Yep.
And there's a part of me that has tried to work on it in regards to as a person, as a human, as a father, as a significant other. How can I calm the mind? And the other part is me, but yeah, but when I grab it and I harness it, it allows me to focus and it makes me feel really good. So how can I find these two, that both can be true, to find that balance? And it's yeah, dude, it's special. And but I never want to put it down. I even remember being younger, and I think it was my mom's like, well, why don't you pick up golfing? And it's not a knock on anybody who loves to golf. I can't stand golfing.
I'm about to go golf here in a minute.
I know you are. But it
But
wasn't.
I'm not a golfer though, don't worry.
But to me, it was just like you can do, and she referenced you can do that when you get older. I'm like, look, I'm going to be doing this other stuff when I'm older too. And a huge shout out to Tia, my wife's dad, John Wright. John's in his 70s, and the dude still shreds when it comes to kiteboarding, when it comes to snowboarding,
Hell
whatever
yeah.
it is, because he's like, that's what I love to do. And why would I like, And I'm like, man, good on you. So
Yep. I mean, that's one fun thing about finding some of these hobbies even later in life is like, we shouldn't be on the upward trajectory, but we are because we're still new to them. We're still getting after it. And it also drives us to live a lifestyle that allows us to stay fit enough to handle the demands of these things, right? I think we're definitely hitting an age where you see somebody and you're like, you're 45 because you look 60. And then you have the folks who are like, you're 45 because you look 35. And I think it's where, yeah, genetics play a part, but also like lifestyle is really, really influential at this point. And I plan to be the forever 40 as opposed to the holy shit, why do you look so much older than you are?
no, it is. It's our 40s are a funny age from the standpoint to like somebody that looks like they're 60 and they've got grandkids, or somebody else like we just had a new like we've got a 4-month-old. I'm 45, soon to be 45. And so it is, man. But yeah, I don't want to ever stop. I don't want to put that stuff down because it's you got to just look at like what are your values, what matters to you, and that ability to move every single day. Doesn't mean that I'm getting these hour and a half, 2-hour training sessions in. It means like, okay, well, I got pulled into a million different things and it's already like 7:30. My phone's blown up, but I got time to get a quick warm up in, and I'm going to go to like 3 sets, like 3 triples and like a big basic movement, and I'm calling it a day. Or I'm getting in and you know what? I'm going to do a couple interval rounds on the bike or the Versa climber, and I'm done. And I got in what I could, but other things just have more precedent at this point in my life. And it hasn't been fun. The ego side of me doesn't love it, but at the
Mhm.
same time, I'm like, no, I'm actively choosing to go do these other things just out of love.
So what would you say your normal, if you had to look at a week and you're like, hey, I want to make sure to touch these things. I know one of those is a barbell, but what are the things from a training perspective that you want to kind of the boxes you're looking to check on a weekly basis when you're not, on the perfect plan and everything's not organized and you're just getting in what you can?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it depends on how technical we want to get. We can start off very rudimentary, but like I'm a total body training guy. Even if I know like I'm going to get 6 days a week, I'm doing some total body because I know it's going to allow me the most flexibility. But other than that, I'm going total body sessions. In those total body sessions, I'm going to be hitting my major patterns of something push, pull, squat, hinge, maybe carry, probably not as much as I should. But I want to like just operating off the standpoint that if I miss tomorrow, at least I got in these patterns today. I'm not regressing. I'm challenging myself. I'm probably going to do something somewhat explosive. It might not be heavy snatching by any stretch. This is the longest I've probably not snatched in a while, but I've still got something that allows me to feel like an athlete or aggressive, even if it's just slamming a medicine ball or doing some sort of jump that allows me to move somewhat, quickly or violently. So that's the lifting stuff. The conditioning pieces is usually something that's going to suck. It's going to be somewhat hard, in which I'm touching something lately. It's been 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes. I've been leaning into doing more longer stuff as far as like 10 plus minutes, like on the rower, um, doing interval rounds. So I'm usually doing something that's higher intensity that leaves me like, I don't want to do this today. And then work-wise, because of our campus, really fortunate, dude, I'm getting tons of walking in. So I know all the zone 2 and the lower walk, like I'm getting that in. But it's so I know I need to make myself uncomfortable, both in some of the weight training stuff. And that's where I go to. Like, if there's not at least probably a little bit of anxiousness looking at today, or look at from a standpoint of like, I could back out of this. Like I could I could give it an 8 and it would be hard, but then I'm going to get done and I'm going to have to look myself in the mirror and go, I held back on that. When you set it up to not hold back on that, it was
Yeah.
like, it was supposed to be a max 2 minutes. Was that a max 2 minutes? Well, it was max for my day. And I didn't want like, no, like, dude, like, what am I holding back for? For my
Yeah.
time trials for the Tour de France that I'm getting ready for? Like, no, like, so I don't want to, like, come on, send it. Like, send
Yeah.
it. Like, and so how do I challenge myself? Total body lifts, conditioning. It's basically alternating every other day. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday for me right now are lifts. Tuesday, Thursday are conditioning sessions. Saturday can just be a hodgepodge of different stuff. But lately, it's been working out with Tia. She and I, like, literally to some extent, like, met each other in the gym. And so if we can get a workout in together Saturday that, there's nothing attached to it other than just we're both gonna hurt and work together and have some fun, like, then that's a pretty damn good week, man.
I would say still my most recent favorite workout was the one you and I did like years ago now at Tia Space in Arkansas, just because it was training with you, and I haven't done that in so long, and that used to be just every day for us.
Yeah.
And like I remember like I wasn't squatting much at the time, but I squat and I was like, man, I just did like 20 pounds more than I thought I could do just because I'm in a space with somebody else. But dude, one, this list is amazing. Two, I purposely asked you that because in the spirit of, again, you doing my job, I'm speaking on this at the Soldiers to Sidelines Summit coming up. Kind of like, what can a coach do to make sure they stay fit with kind of the time and environment that they have? And obviously, go figure, we're aligned on a lot of this. But one of my favorite things that you mentioned in here was like including something, and you were referencing conditioning specifically. For me, it'd probably be more honestly like heavy stuff, but
Mhm.
like something that makes you a little bit anxious or a little bit nervous. I've always been a proponent, and I shouldn't say always. I started being a proponent of making sure that on a weekly basis, there's at least something within there that like you're already thinking about on Sunday, where you're like, oh fuck, Thursday morning, I've got those mile repeats, or I've got that heavy, squat double or whatever it is. That started when you were coaching me. Like when you started coaching me with weightlifting stuff back at first group, that's when I realized the value of that, because I'd done my own stuff and I just stayed
Yep.
within my comfort zone. And like
Yeah.
for me, my comfort zone honestly is like more like work capacity stuff. So like things that some people might be like, oh, that's terrible. I'm like, well, that's actually what I'm comfortable with. It's really not that big a deal versus, oh, I have to like get under a heavy barbell today or like press something overhead, like type of thing. So I think for everyone it's different, but I do think it's so important to include something that makes you nervous like that. And I also think that there's a weird movement, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think there's a little bit of a movement toward like demonizing intensity. Like, like everyone's like, oh, recovery, recovery, recovery. And there's,
Yeah.
consistency, consistency, consistency. Like, yeah, consistency for sure. But like, if you're consistently walking, you're not going to get stronger. Like, it's sometimes you got to go to the fucking well and you got to get uncomfortable and you got to move, like to your words, with some aggression, with some violence. And if you don't do that, you're still just going to kind of like peter right here, right?
Yeah, it's rule number 1 we know when it comes to adaptation. If we don't stress it, why would we adapt? Why would we grow? And I think to your point, like, recovery's become such a big thing, and people are so worried about becoming optimized. You spoke on it, I think, when we were in San Diego, basically about the ranger who might be the fittest guy who's, doing it with a dip in, who's hung over, whatever it is, and it's like, give me that guy. Give me the one who's willing to, like, send it compared to the one that's worried about, well, according, to my wearable, it says I'm in the red and I shouldn't move more than like, or what? Do you believe that you are such a fragile individual that you're an N of one that you're going to like crumble and tear your ACL and blow out your back or whatever? I'm
Yeah.
like, if you do, training's not your issue. Yeah. And so it's no, you got to stress the system. You have to. And the thing is, like, we have a tendency to slowly like peter off a little bit. And it doesn't take the same stressors it did when we were 19 or 20, but we still have to stress and we still have to touch it. And it doesn't have to be as much, but we still have to do it on somewhat of a frequent base, or else we lose what that ability, I really think, from a mentality standpoint, of truly what hard is. And then we create narratives in our head. And that's when people start talking about my age and my this and that, my that. I'm like, okay, dude,
Yep.
if that helps you sleep at night, if it does, then good for you. But I think you're doing yourself a disservice. I want to be the 90-year-old that's throwing the baggage in the overhead thing. I want to be running the stairs. I want to be like getting on the floor with my kids or my grandkids or whatever it may be. And we know, like, if we don't do that stuff now, like, it's not going to happen. Like, we're not automatically going to get fitter without the work.
As soon as you have an excuse for losing, you stop competing. And that shit drives me absolutely nuts. And
Yeah.
I see it all the time where it's like somebody's already decided in advance. And you see, like, I'll see it with my 7-year-old, right? Like with Lachlan, I'll be like, because then I think it's natural. Like it's a defense mechanism of like, oh, well, I can't win anyway, so I'm just not going to compete kind of thing. And so like, I'm not certainly not going to accept that, from him, but I see it all the time. And I see it quite honestly, like quite a bit in the veteran community as well. Like, oh, I've already kind of decided I'm this, I have this, I am my disability, whatever it is. And then people it's like they've given themselves a reason not to try.
Yeah.
And now now apathy has entered the building. And to me, that's just where like life goes to die.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You have to compete. You have to put your ego at risk.
Yeah, you do. It's as soon as we start labeling things, as soon as we buy into our own stuff, like I'm a massive believer that everybody is the subject matter expert on themselves. The caveat is with that, people buy into their own narratives because it's safe and it makes you feel protected. And I can't remember who I was talking with. It might have been Jimmy the other day, as far as, it's not a knock on anybody who is suffering from this, as far as whether it's PTSD, but there's a difference between PTSD and PTS. Do I have post-traumatic stress or do I have post-traumatic stress disorder? To me, when I hear that, somebody has taken a label, they have taken a thing, they've taken an identity. I'm not a doctor. I am not judging at all. I'm not going to say that that is not all very real and everything that comes with it. However, as soon as we start saying I am, I have, compared to working with, or whatever it may be, however we want
Yeah.
to change the
Yeah.
vernacular.
Yeah.
Like,
How about I'm fighting it?
yeah. Like, do not go, like, again, it's do not go gently into that good night is such a
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's a choice. And that doesn't mean, like, I don't want to downplay the seriousness of any of that. However, you still have to, like, are you putting up a fight? Do you want to do the thing, or do you want to fall back into the point where, like, man, do you want to make the excuses and accept losing?
And it's normal to overcome those things.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's my friend, I get friend's probably a strong word in the current text, but an old friend of mine, who is a lifelong, Ranger, retired, God knows how many deployments. And he always, every once in a while, throws up a little reminder like, it is okay to be okay too. Cause we've shifted so hard in the other direction. And it's like, it's also okay to say like, I don't have this, or I overcame that, or, whatever it is. And the other thing is, it doesn't take long, especially in the veteran community, but it doesn't take long to look to your left and your right and see somebody who was dealt a fucking way worse hand than you were and who is doing way more with it. And that's a nice little reminder. Like, because I get poopy pants sometimes too. And then sometimes it just takes opening up Instagram and seeing somebody who had a way tougher time, in service, who's still out there crushing in some capacity. And you're like, all right, motherfucker, I see you. Thank you. Bet. Let's go.
So confused. Just said, just said bet. Um, but no, but again, I know I make light of it, but it is. And again, it's not downplaying it. It's not the seriousness of it, but goddamn, like, so you got a choice. You 100% have a choice. And taken from our boy Johnny Martin, we talk about ACE. We control our attitude, we can control our choices, and we can control our effort. No matter what the situation, we can always control those three things. What's our attitude? What are our choices? And what's the effort that I'm going to put in? It doesn't matter where we're coming from. I mean, you go back to the old Viktor Frankl quote from Man's Search for Meaning. He who has a reason to live can bear with almost anyhow. Like, if you don't have it, then to your point, like, okay, what's your fire? Like, what is the thing that's going to get you going and light you up? And that's where, going back to the purpose piece, why that's so damn important. Because if you are serving, you do have purpose, whether it's the person next to you, whether it is your why, as far as why you signed up. And man, when you take that away from anybody, whether they served or not, that shit sucks. So how do you find that? And you have to take an active role
Yeah.
in your life to search that shit out, because nobody's coming to save you and give you that. So
What is your purpose?
what is my purpose? Man, I had a call yesterday with a coach of mine, and I'm a massive believer of coaches have coaches, and I'm stepping into a little bit of a new role. And she asked me what are 3 words that really would describe how I want my new role to be, and what I realized after the fact was, I mean, I was trying to describe who I wanted to be. Um, so I bring that up because it is the discovery process of trying to figure out what the hell I'm trying to do with my life. Relentless is one. Like, I never want to stop. I love the concept of being a lifelong learner. I don't want that to be cliche, as far as when some people say it and then they get uncomfortable and they get challenged and they're like, well, no, are you or aren't you? And, it's the cliche of, the more I learn, the less I know. So relentless. I want to be nonstop serving and working for the people that I love. When it came to UHP, like, I want to emulate our brand and what I believe our brand is. It is a servant leadership mindset to my, like, serving those who serve, helping become people that better themselves. Um, and then impactful. Like, I'm a massive believer in leaving the world better than you found it. However people wanna treat spirituality is like the thing that I've had for a long time. I'm not a religious person, but like, was this world, was this place, did anybody I interact with, were they better off because I was here, I was in it? And that's not like a pity party, like, would somebody miss me type thing. That is, I wanna take an active role to make sure that how I am showing up, how I'm putting the effort towards others, how I'm taking on my own learning, my own energy. I wanna, like, I love phrases and cliches and all that shit, like, it's The Departed with Jack Nicholson, and he may or may not be doing, cocaine off a stripper in a hotel room when he says this, but I think he references to DiCaprio's character in Departed. He's like, "I don't wanna be a product of my environment, I want my environment to be a product of me."
Yeah.
And I don't say that from a place of arrogance, but I say that from a place of, we have control over making an impact of every room that we walk in. And that's the goal. And, like, is the room I'm about to step into gonna be better because I showed up for people?
Yeah.
Or is it not? Or I'm like, and we all know those fun sponges that walk into a room and we're like, "Who invited frickin' Eeyore?" Like, they just sucked the juice out of this place,
Yeah.
compared to, like, I don't know what it is, but dude, Nate's here and this place just feels like frickin' fire now.
Yeah.
Bet. Like, or whatever the fuck you'd say. But, like,
You
but
did.
I don't even know if I used it right. But
Not
like,
even I
point,
don't not even close.
no.
I don't
But
know.
like,
Why were you asking me? I'm old. I don't know.
yeah, because you used it. You're the cool dad. But no, I mean, and that's, I know that feels like TED talky and cliche maybe, I don't know, and people might say I'm full of shit, but I love it, and I operate from that, like, chip on my shoulder, because I don't want to ever go to veteran, Green Beret, whoever I've had the chance to coach, work with, and not be able to pour into them because I didn't do my part to do my due diligence to be really good at what I do. And that's fun. It goes back to, like, the video game Avatar. We're talking about some of the stuff we're doing at work, and we're like, how do you get your Madden score up? Like, if you're a Madden video game player, like, how do you take yourself from, like, a 74 to an 80? Like, well, you've got to do the work. Like, that's all the training and education, all the things are, and take an active role in it. And it's fun. And if you gamify it, and if people are looking for purpose, like, turn it into a freaking game. Like, are you better than yourself? Yeah, then hell yeah, well done.
I love what you had said about, the energy that you're bringing into the room, because I've always said, like, are you going to move the world or let the world move you? But I literally am thinking in these moments as you're talking, I think you are moving the world no matter what. It's just a matter of in what direction. Just like you are contributing to the energy of the room, like it or not. And so I don't think there is a neutral, because I think you're either an energy add or an energy suck. And if you bring neutral, well, you might have neutral energy, but it's spread across one more body, which means there's less energy per person, which means it's still a negative net. And so I think that that's so important for people to think about. Like, what do you bring into the party?
Yeah. I mean, old school, go to the which law of physics is that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. Not to go weird academic or whatever, but I mean, it's true. Like, listen, like, there's going to be a shift. There's going to be some sort of interaction that happens because of you as a person in this world, in your environment, in your household, in your family, community, whatever that is. Like, it is going to happen. Whether you like it or not, you are existing and you have control over what the hell that's going to look like. And what I love about those that serve, that if they want to act, if they take it and own it, man, is that freaking fire hot, because of the experience of what the people have done and where they've been and who, like, just who they are as people. Like, you don't have to like do anything to prove some shit, but like just do it for yourself and understand that that's, there's more in you than you probably know.
Yeah, like you can leave a lot of what you did behind while still keeping who you are, and that's really powerful as you step into this new environment. I love, by the way, your mention of relentless as your first word. There was a time where I don't think it ever actually happened, but where the Any Given Day training team was going to be called the Relentless. I even have like logos and things, and part of it was that idea of just like fucking just go. Like, you gotta move, you gotta start, you gotta, like, I think
Yeah.
there's so many people like, we spend so much time planning and plotting and thinking and wondering and second guessing and whatever else, and like sometimes you just gotta fucking move and see what happens. Like, just shake the tree, see what falls, go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it doesn't matter in what. I think anything in life, and one of the beautiful things that I've learned so much in these last 5 years at UHP is we're gonna go. We're gonna act. We're gonna, like, we have our mission. Here's the people that we're gonna serve, and we're gonna continue to refine, opposed to like, no, we need to make this perfect. No, like, we're gonna go. Doesn't mean that we're not gonna do everything we can. We don't sacrifice that, but it's that entrepreneurial spirit that has just been like just injected into me that I love so much. And you can't wait. It's not a sidelines thing. You got to get the reps just like anything else. And you just have to get those reps at being relentless and just going. With the book Tough, Greg Everett. And I think it's him. I could be giving credit to him. I could not be, but I think it was him. And I love it to death. Is the quote is, it takes what it takes. Like, what does it take to get the job done? I don't know, but it's one, we're going to figure it out. It takes what it takes. What's it going to take to get your new business going? What's it going to take to qualify for that team? What's it going to take to make selection? I don't know. It takes what it takes. And as soon as, I think, you go back to that losing mentality, as soon as you get away from it doesn't take what it takes, and you've already set limiting beliefs, you've already set a ceiling, it's game over.
Yeah. Well, and the known really reduces anxiety, right? And the unknown paralyzes people. I saw it all the time, in the weekends, for example, leading up to RASP. So like leading up to going to make an attempt at Rangers. You try to meet up with other people who are in RASP to try to get as much information as you could to try to reduce the anxiety you had over what you were about to embark on, because you had no idea in the world what it entailed. In the throes of it, in the moment, it was nothing. But how many people raised their hand and quit before it ever happened just for fear of the unknown was astronomical. And what's amazing now is like there's more information than ever on any of these selections and how to prepare, and they're doing everything they can to take all the guesswork out of it. But I wish they wouldn't, because to me, that's the value. Like, that's what weeds out. I don't even know if it's the weak, but it weeds out those who don't think it takes what it takes.
Yeah. No, it's true, the open-ended, and it's one of those things I wish we would have done more of, like, from the pure training side of the house. I wish we would have done, like, these more in my, like, conceptually. I think that I took or borrowed from, like, Craig Weller and Jonathan Pope from Building the Elite, open-ended workouts.
Yeah.
What are we doing today? This is what we're starting with. Well, then what? Don't know. Don't worry about it. You can't control what's coming down the pipe because you don't know what's coming down the pipe. I promise that we're going to take care of you. I promise it's going to be a good session. We're going to get out of it what we need, but you don't need to worry about what's next, because you're going to pace it, and you're not going to pour everything into every little piece along the way.
Dude, how many times I stepped out on a, squad PT with no clue in hell what was going to happen because I wasn't controlling it. And there's so much to be gained from that.
Yeah.
Not every day, but on a lot of days. And even to the extent that when I was a squad leader and I controlled PT, I would give the reins to the team leaders sometimes and be like, let's let it roll. Let's see what happens. Because then now I'm stepping into the unknown,
Yeah.
or like suddenly they're taking us to the pool and I'm like, fuck the pool. like you don't know what's coming. And no, you're right. Open-ended workouts, man, because it has so much value beyond just the physical component.
Yeah, it's the mental.
Yeah.
100% it's the mental. But I
Yeah.
mean, to your point, the beauty in that surrender to be, but also then like the confidence that that builds, like, man, like I know whatever they throw at me, they're not, one, from a trust perspective, you've got that with the coach, they're not going to do anything that I couldn't handle. And two, I'm going to learn a hell of a lot about myself, but it's going to be uncomfortable. Like that mental, like, dude, that sucks. I don't like, there's not a lot of people that would be signing up for training on a regular basis that want to pour in like high level without knowing what's coming down the pipe. Like, like, I'm as guilty as the next. I'm looking at what I'm doing tomorrow for my training so I can mentally prepare tonight. What do I need to do tomorrow? I'm scheduling stuff out. Like I text Tia. I'm like, do you work tomorrow? Do we do this? What are we doing training wise? Opposed to just like, just show up and see what happens.
That's one of my favorite reasons to ride with Paul. Like that's rolling the dice every time. Like, yeah, I have no clue. It could be a 90-minute, it could be 2.5 hours. He could get the ride wrong or take a wrong turn.
Yeah.
We go from 20 to 25 miles. I mean, I had one ride, dude, I thought it was going to be low 20s. We ended up around 28. I was fighting for my life for the last hour. And I mean like fucked up physically.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, mentally I was still there. I was still, because I had that mindset. Like that is one strength I have. And I'm like, man, at least I have that. But there again, I don't know that ever goes out of style. No different than somebody bringing you on a new run on the mountain that you haven't done before.
Yeah.
That scares the shit out of you.
You take a wrong turn. But I mean, then you get to the bottom, you're like, well, did you, like, it's, the hangover, like, did you die? Like,
But did
no, I
you
didn't die. Like, you didn't, but you're like, well, shit. Okay. But then the next time you go, you're like, you know what? I know that whatever, like on this mountain now, whatever we go down, I'm going to be just fine. And if you never do it because you surrendered into it, like how many wrong turns have you taken and go, oh man, we fucked up.
Here's the other thing. If you die, then you don't have shit to worry about anymore.
Yeah. Again, it's,
there was a great quote one time that was something along the lines of, you never, because I'll be honest, I'm somebody who kind of ruminates a little bit sometimes about like death or like I don't want to die because I love this life and I don't like the idea of it not existing. But this quote was something along the lines of, you never worry about what life was like before you were born. So why are you worried about what it's like after you're dead? I'm like, oh, that's a great fucking point, because it's kind of the same. You just don't exist anymore.
yeah, it's, but what can you do about it? So we're going to start making like, I mean, we could go off on so much physics.
We'll come back to the religion philosophical discussion for future. All right. So I knew we would suck at this because I love talking to you. But I gotta make a move to close.
Yep.
I'm going to ask you the final question that I ask every guest. I know you already know it's coming because you listen to every single episode. Thank you for your support. But so in all seriousness, my one question is, if you had to give one piece of advice, and it could be a piece that you're already given, totally cool, to the veteran community or a subcomponent of the veteran community, it could even be somebody specific that you're thinking of in your mind, what would that piece of advice be?
Yeah, I'm trying not to make it overly simple. I mean, it's like, what was his last name? Eddie Kai or whatever it was, the surfer who died, like Eddie would go, in which he ended up giving his life, like going after the big wave, and go, like, just go, just jump, send it. In regards to, it is a whole new thing in regards to whatever career life that you've seen worse. Have the belief in yourself that you've been through worse, you've been through harder stuff. The people that you're going against, you're going to get into rooms and you're going to be like, well, that person has a C in front of their, job title, or they have this, and then you're going to sit down at the table and you're going to realize, like, they are no different than me. I've had more advanced conversations, more whatever it is, or like, so it's trust yourself and send it. I mean, it goes back to like our snowboarding and mountain biking stuff. Trust yourself and send it. Because worst case, you die and then you don't know. Best case, you end up you go head over heels over, the handlebars, and you get back up and you realize what you shouldn't have done otherwise. And then you go again. And that feels too cheesy or cliche almost, but man, it's what I would tell myself. It's what I would tell anybody else. What's the worst thing that happens? You're resilient. You're going to figure stuff out.
Yep.
So just go.
No, I agree I think it's wonderfully said, and I think there's no substitute for just fucking sending it. Hunter, man, I know you love to say there's never a bad day when you touch a barbell. There's never a bad day when you spend it talking to you. Thank you so much for taking this last hour, sharing a piece of yourself with us.
No, I appreciate you, man. It's always good to see your face, to talk. I know I was watching the timer. I'm like, dude, we're gonna do this for 2 hours.
If I didn't have a tea time, it just might happen.